My name is Anissa Garcia, and I'm here to talk today about lactation support for breastfeeding mothers, especially here at our UNR campus. So, recently I became a mother in 2023. I returned back on campus about 8 weeks after I had my first daughter. My goal was to solely breastfeed, and so initially I did look up lactation rooms. I found that there was a few available, but through that I stumbled upon some issues that we'll go ahead and talk about. First, I wanted to mention students who breastfeed often feel underserved. My goal is to advocate for improved lactation accommodations here on campus. Over 20% of U.S. college students are parents. I found that really interesting in my research. So it's literally 1 in 5 college students here in the U.S. are students. So I know the traditional student, 18, 22, they have maybe responsibilities such as paying their rent or, their part-time jobs, or maybe a car payment. But I know, I've heard from my experience, a lot of them do rely on their parents. But here, I have a whole family. I have a lot of responsibility. I have children. I have a beautiful daughter, as I mentioned, and I'm also a second-time expecting mom. So this issue is a really big concern for me, because going through this again, I just wanted to advocate for more options as a expecting mother. We do expect unique barriers that the traditional student doesn't run into, and equity includes supporting all types of students. I know at UNR we have students who need special accommodations. At the through my experience at the DRC, students who have different types of maybe like learning differences, students who have disabilities, people who identify differently, and I see all kinds of accommodations for a lot of students, but I think the stigma around breastfeeding mothers often goes unrealized due to the lack of, or as a result of the lack of seeing the lack of accommodations, a lack of support for students like me. Current gaps at UNR. So when I was looking online for these lactation rooms, I found a few, there's a few numbers listed on UNR's website, who to call and how to access these rooms. Upon calling, I was told I needed to schedule well in advance when I could use my lactation rooms, as my breast pads are soaking. And, I'm thinking like, well, I can leave campus. I already paid for parking. I can leave campus early and go pump somewhere like at home. But then there goes my study time. These lactation rooms are poorly advertised. They're often used as shared spaces. I know the Joel Crowley, it was used as a theater changing room to a dressing room. They looked at me very weirdly when I asked the staff if I could have, if I could go lactate in them, and they didn't want to give me a key. They said they had to have a supervisor come and give them a key. I also went to a building next to the dorms. They told me there was only like 4 hours, and I think they were like split hours that I could use the lactation room, and it was in a cubicle, a counselor's cubicle, and I didn't feel like I was important enough. I mean, sure, we have lactation spaces, but are they really lactation spaces? Because I feel like they're primarily, and they should be used for other people, and that I've got a lot of weird looks when I asked even the math center, because I utilize that a lot. I asked them to store my breast milk. They said they couldn't because it was too much of an accountability. I asked the DRC if they could store my breast milk, and I think they said just this one time, because there was no real policy on it. So yeah, it was really odd. It was a really weird time for me, especially, as a new mother. You already have the stress of leaving your child, to go back to school to pursue your goals, finish your degree. And yeah, a lot of isolation and shame came. There was no one really else I could talk to about it, and it just felt like I was the very odd person out on campus. Which, going back to the mission statement, it doesn't include, it just doesn't seem very, very inclusive. So, as I said, the reservation times are not feasible, very uncomfortable, and institutional oversight. So through my research, I saw there's lack of formal lactation policies at most universities, assumptions that very rarely were lactation rooms needed. 1 in 5 are parents of university students in US, but doesn't mean they're necessarily lactating mothers like I am. It definitely felt excluded. US Department of Labor says that there needs to be lactation accommodation for employees. However, nothing about students. So let's say a student employee was at UNR. Do we have lactation spaces for them while they work? Like maybe it's buildings away, or maybe they have to, reserve a space well in advance. Or, like the Joe Crowley sign, they close at 5, so I can't use it after 5. So we'd be supporting UNR's mission if we were able to have more lactation resources, make people feel more inclusive. I know that because of the rarity of nursing mothers on campus, why would we put more support, and why would we make rooms specifically designated for lactation? Well, it's because it's what's right. So equity is not the majority, but it's making people feel inclusive. There's all kinds of different accommodations we make for different students, but it's like, why are we going to make someone feel isolated and unsupportive because they are having milk coming out of their breasts? Like, that doesn't make sense why we should be excluded. UC Berkeley, they have lactation rooms in every building. They have scheduled times that you can put. They have like an interactive website where you can schedule times and block out certain times so you can go pump or nurse in rooms. Portland State, they have a lactation welcome policy. They have a lot of support with employees of UNR using very supportive words, and also on their website it's very lactation friendly. And the lactation rooms, all I'm asking for is a private clean room with an outlet so I can pump, or refrigeration so I can put my breast milk at any time of the day, especially during the summer months. Sinks where I can wash my pump parts, and like any seating and just signage, and make it in all buildings. That'd be the most helpful. I think there should be an interactive map and a student portal. That would be really helpful on the Nevada portal, or the My Nevada app. Have faculty and staff trained on lactation rights. Don't make them feel like such a burden. This would help align with UNR's values. It's time for a change. We're not, old school. Like, we're changing every day. It'd be another barrier broken, and we supporting student parents to stay in school.